Hello, my Montville friends. This is Miss Jessica with Storytime. I have been reading some fairy tales to you, and we actually started with Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I have one more Goldilocks story to read to you for my fairy tale story time. This particular one is Goldilocks is actually an old lady now. She feels very bad about what she did when she was a little kid. So now she is going to return to the Three Bears house and try to make everything okay. So I hope you enjoy this story. And let's see if she actually is able to make amends, make everything okay now that she looks like a grandma and she's going back to the house to make things better. So this is called Goldilocks Returns by Lisa Campbell Ernst. Okay, so here she is in her chair with lots of books to read, and it looks like actually the book she's reading is called Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And here's Goldilocks Returns. She's kind of got a messy house, huh? As a child, she was known as Goldilocks, and she was very naughty indeed. Her favorite hobby was snooping in houses where no one was at home, until, of course, all that dreadful trouble with the bears. Then Goldilocks grew up, and the older she got, the worse she felt about her horrid behavior. She shortened her name and pinned up her curls so no one would recognize her. Goldie opened a shop to help people protect themselves against snoops. But no matter how she tried to leave her life of crime behind, it haunted her day and night. Goldie had nightmares about bears. She cried at the sight of even a teddy bear. Her customers even began to look like bears. "I can't take it any longer," she sobbed at last. "It's time I get things right." So early one morning, Goldie loaded up her truck, turned her shop sign to close, and zoomed off towards the deep, dark woods. At that very moment, the three bears, whom she had scared out of their wits years before, were sitting down to breakfast. There was Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and their son, who, though not a baby for about 50 years now, still went by the name Baby Bear. Due to the fright brought on by Goldilocks, he still had a wee little voice. Their breakfast, as usual, was porridge, and as it had been every day since any of them could remember, it was still too hot to eat. "Grab your hats," Papa Bear sighed, and the three unsuspecting bears left for their daily walks. Oh, look at how cute they are. Poor Mama and Papa need canes now to take a walk. And there's Baby Bear, grown up, but still looks like a kid. And here's Goldie. No sooner had the bears left than Goldie screeched to a stop in front of their cozy cottage. "It hasn't changed a bit," she gasped. Strapping her tool belt on, Goldie walked to the door and knocked. A smile crept across her face as she realized the bears again were not home. Goldie walked right in. "I'm gonna fix that," she said, chuckling. With a drill in one hand and a screwdriver in the other, Goldie swung into action. Moments later, the bear's door was laden with the finest in locking hardware, padlock double bolt, and the secret anti-snoop lock she used in only the most serious cases. "Won't they be delighted?" she crooned. Next, Goldie headed for the kitchen, and there sat 3 bowls of porridge. "Ugh," she said, "it's the same goop as before." Goldie emptied the bowls into the sink. They won't have to eat this nasty tasting stuff anymore. And she set out her special fat-free rutabaga breakfast bars and cans of tart and tasty celery juice. That just doesn't even sound good. Goldie stacked the cabinets with enough breakfast bars and celery juice to last for months. And while she was at it, she threw away the food that she either thought was too unhealthy or she just didn't even like. Now to spruce this place up a little, Goldie announced, pulling out 3 bolts of pom-pom fridge and her staple gun. The results were stunning. Let's see. So she's putting like little fringe places and making it look all pretty and girly. Feeling better already, Goldie burst into the living room. "Egad!" she cried when she saw what Baby Bear had made from his broken chair. Nothing that a little hot glue could not fix, and she whipped out her glue gun, and in no time the rocking horse was a chair again. "Good as new," Goldie said. "No better. Now to fix those other ghastly chairs." Even after all those years, Goldie still judged Mama's bear to be too soft, Papa's bear to be too hard. So the stuffing was quickly moved from one chair, Mama's chair, into Daddy's chair. Goldie hung hoity-toity drapes, scattered pillows, and covered all the furniture with shiny plastic covers. "Perfect at last," she said. Oh my goodness, look at all this. Goldie raced up the stairs to the 3 bears' bedrooms. "Good gosh," she said, testing the beds of Papa Bear and Mama Bear. "Just as I remembered, too hard and too soft." And before you could say Rip Van Winkle, she had adjusted the stuffings to her liking. Goldie sprayed ravishing rose perfume in the air and tied bouquets of plastic flowers around the room for a back-to-nature look. "It's glorious," Goldie sang, falling back on Baby Bear's bed to admire the room. The bears are going to be so grateful. Suddenly, Goldie was exhausted, and once again, Baby Bear's bed was just right. And before she knew it, Goldie had drifted off to her most peaceful sleep that she had had in the last 50 years. So she's sleeping on Baby Bear's bed again. The bears, meanwhile, were just returning home from their walk, and seeing the truck, they began to worry because they had not had a lot of luck with visitors in the past. "What on?" Papa Bear said, noticing the locks on the door, and then he heard Baby Bear squealing in the kitchen. "Oh no! Oh my gosh! Oh my heavens!" he cried in his wee little voice. "Look, look, look!" Oh, he knows the porridge, I guess. With jaws dropping and eyes popping, the 2 older bears did just that. Papa Bear snarled at the sight of the table, bellowed in his big deep voice, "Someone has taken my porridge!" Mama Bear nodded. "Someone has taken my porridge," she said in her medium voice. And Baby Bear, discovering the mess in the sink, cried in his wee little voice, "Someone has taken my porridge and they've thrown it all away!" Memory told the bears that they should race to the living room next. Look at all the decorations they did. Oh, look at those curtains she put up. It was a shocking sight. Papa Bear's knees buckled and he fell into his new poofy chair. "Someone," he growled, "has been fooling with my chair." Mama Bear tried hers and gasped, hard as a rock, "Someone has been fooling with my chair." "Ah!" Baby Bear screeched, stomping up and down. "Someone has been fooling with my chair and they put it back together." All 3 bears ran helter-skelter up the stairs. "Pay you!" Baby Bear gagged. "What's that smell?" "Ravishing roses," Mama Bear read, picking up an empty bottle from the floor. The 2 older bears did not even check their beds because they knew where to look. What they saw made their fur stand on end. Baby Bear began to tremble. "She's back," he wailed, hoping it was all just a nightmare. "Someone's been sleeping in my bed and here she is again." And at that moment, Goldie's eyes popped open. "You're home!" Goldie shouted, crushing each bear with a hug and kissing their furry cheeks. The shocked bears opened their mouths to protest, but Goldie just raced on. Okay, now don't thank me. I know you're terribly grateful, but after all, I was the one who caused the trouble to begin with. Of course, I've more than made up for that. Goldie gleefully danced through the house, pointing out her deeds. So naturally, I fixed that little chair, she said, and I got rid of that nasty porridge. The rutabaga breakfast bars are fat-free, so you might even be able to lose a little bit of weight there, she chuckled. She tapped on Papa Bear's stomach. A growl began to grow in Papa Bear's throat, but before he could get it out, Goldie tossed him the keys to all her fancy locks, hugged them all again, and climbed in her truck and was off. "Wait! Come back!" yelled the bears, but it did no good. As her truck rounded a curve in the road, the bear saw a flash of gold. Goldie, smiling, unpinned her curls and shook them out in the breeze. The dazed bears slowly turned back to their cottage. They moved awkwardly about their fancy schmancy house. They couldn't eat. They couldn't get comfortable in their chairs, and so finally they went to bed. No one slept a wink. The next morning, the three exhausted bears sat at the breakfast table, miserably staring at their rutabaga breakfast bars and celery juice. "Maybe we should just go for a walk," Mama Bear suggested, and they all ran for their hats. The three bears set off through the woods, relieved to be out of the house. But just then, Baby Bear spied something through the trees. It was a very mischievous-looking girl, skipping along the path that led straight to their cottage. "Oh no," he panicked. "Not this again. We didn't lock the door. Quick, stop her. She might eat our food. She might mess up the fancy things. She might break my chair." The bears began to run after the girl, but then they stopped. "Eat the food?" said Mama Bear. "Mess up the fancy things?" asked Papa Bear. "Break my chair?" repeated Baby Bear. And very slowly they started to smile. They were okay with that. And then, turning around, the bears happily continued on their walk. And here is Goldie, formerly Goldilocks. Looks like she's getting into more trouble at her own house. And maybe that new little girl will cause some havoc at the three bears' house. So, when Goldilocks returned 50 years later, was she really a help? Or was she more of a hindrance? Was she more of kind of a pain? Yeah, it doesn't look like she really improved their lives very much, huh? By giving them celery juice. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. I really enjoyed reading it to you. Next week, we will start on a different fairy tale. Bye, everybody. I miss you, and I cannot wait to do story time again at the library. Bye, everybody.